Hi, this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development, and we are currently live in the breakout room. So, welcome and welcome, and we love being here for you with quality and value to inspire and to transform. Remember, we are on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and iTunes. Today, as usual, we have a special guest to share with you for your development and growth and to live your better informed life. So, grab a cup, pull up a seat, and stay tuned for the introduction right here now, live in the breakout room. It's the place for health, happiness, and prosperity. Stay tuned. Hi, folks. This is Andy, your award winning and internationally accredited life and development coach. I want to say a blessed and really special good day to all those who may tune in or hear my voice on this podcast, Andy's Personal Development, the Breakout Room Live. Today, we were supposed to have Alan Carroll as our special guest on the program, but for reasons beyond my control at this time, Alan is not able to attend. So I'm not going to waste the time that I have before me as this has already been scheduled. And so I may help make a difference in your life if you choose to apply it in many areas of your life. And that would include your personal life as an individual, as a human being, whatever role you play, whether it be your father, a mother, a sister, a cousin, a nephew, or uncle, or aunt, an in law, it does not matter. Whatever role you play in your family, in your personal life, this information can be of help and of great support to you in terms of the decision making process that exists in your life. This could also be for people who are involved in careers and who are looking to make certain career moves. It us in the your chosen calling, your field of calling, your profession, as the case might be. You just want to take it to the next level. All right. So this is the place to be on Andy's Personal Development. I want to thank everyone who has supported the show and has been on the show and has made a difference in the show for the past year or so that we have been on. A very special thank you to all the folks who have come on and be guests on my show to help raise the profile and sort of instigate the level of value with the content that we are looking to get out into the stratosphere and the atmosphere and reach all the people that would tune into Andy's Personal Development. I want to thank my wife personally for her support and her commitment and her understanding of my calling and vocation at this time. I don't consider this as work because it's really pleasurable to me and quite fulfilling. I love being here for people. I love spending my time seeking and looking to develop and help and grow relationships with people that would take their lives to a better level, that they'd help to understand, and I would help to understand them, that things are not always as they appear to be, and there's always a way, even where there seem to be none. My duty is to partner with you, to allow you the opportunity to seek a better way in which you do things, in which you make decisions, in which you understand the role that you play in your life and in the life of others that are part of the place where you live, work, and you socialize. And that is extremely important because at the end of the day, you need to understand why you are here, what is your purpose, and you need to embrace it and fulfill it so that you can have total commitment to your destiny. Because at the end of the day, if that does not happen, then your life can feel empty and full of struggles that eventually may not get you anywhere where there's some level of fulfillment, some level of contentment that you have actually done what you've been placed on this earth to do. See, the thing about it is this: God created you, and by creating you and putting you here, He made an investment in your life. And so, if God made an investment in your life, it is time that you understand you need to give Him a return for His investment. No one makes an investment and expects nothing in return. That just does not make sense. It does not happen. And because you value your investment, you also place a value on your return. So there are three very important things that I want to focus on, and I want to kind of slow the pace down a little bit and take my time. I want to share a story with you, but it's my personal story, and out of that will come three things that I have learned that has made the biggest difference in my life. As a young man, I grew up with my father, my mom, and my two sisters in a small village in central Trinidad. We struggled a lot because my father was a tradesman. He built houses and he had a terrazzo machine and whatever work he can get, as they call it in the days, it was like a hustle. A day work here, a job there. He would get it done. And as a midwife, but for reasons unexplained, she could not go out there and do that even on a part-time basis. So the only income that was coming in was that of my father. I could remember days when we struggled to find food to eat. And this one particular incident, it's always somehow in the back of my mind and I remember it. And there are so many lessons that I would have learned as a result of that experience. I did not feel bitter about it. I did not feel burdened about it. But I want to share it with you today because it is real to me and it has a strong and positive message. I remember going to school, and in those days, going to school, I had to walk several miles up from where we live to the junction. The junction was Carapichaima, no, St. Mary's. Yeah, the road was Carapichaima and the junction was St. Mary's. And on St. Mary's Junction was the school that I would attend to with my peers at the time. And on several days I would go to school, I had no socks. And what I wear on my feet was called another name that they call it, but I can't repeat that name on this episode at this time. But I remember clearly going to school and having the opportunity to be involved with my peers and thinking about comparing myself with them and trying to understand why things seemed to be a little bit better with them than it was with me. But it was because my parents could not have afforded the things that their parents could have afforded. And that was a lesson in itself for me. So I went to school with this fisherman sandal. There was no socks on my feet. And there are days when I went to school and I did not have any lunch to eat. I remember on this one particular, it was rainy. It was falling, buckets are dropped, as they say. And I clearly remember that there were many crapu or frogs or whatever you want to call them on the road. And they were crushed by cars. And as I walked, I kept seeing these images of these crapos in my head. And by the time I reached home, that was all I could remember. And when I reached home, obviously I was hungry, right? Spending the whole day in school, no lunch and stuff. And so I asked my mom, I said, Mom, what is this that we have to eat at this time? And she said, Son, what we have is what God has provided. And we have to make the best with it. And I said, Okay, Mom. And she placed a plate in front of me, and in that plate was rice with butter and raisins. Rice with butter and raisins, because that is all she could have afforded at that time. And I looked at the food, and believe you me, the only thing that came to my mind as I looked at the food was the fact that I had seen these crappos with these bulging eyes because they had been killed on the road. And the raisin in the food looked like those crappled eyes. And I was thinking, my gosh, do I really have to eat it? But then I looked at my mom and I realized how painful it would have been for her for her son to come home from school and ask for a meal, and all she could produce was buttered rice with raisins, and I ate it. And at the end of the day, I thank her because I recognize that even though that was all she had, it came from her heart. And that's all we had to eat at that time. I remember there were days when people would come knocking on our father's door in our house and they would be asking for money that he owed them that he couldn't get because the people that he worked for didn't pay him. You know, there were troubling times, there were tough times, there were hard times, and we pulled through. But one of the things that I remember very clearly is that my father would always say, no matter what happens, as family, we have to stay together. We have to stick together. We have to be there for each other and support each other. And I remember that very distinctively because it was the one thing that kept us going, our love and our commitment to keeping our family together. He left us at the age of 74 in 2008, in August of 2008. And to this very day, I still remember this very humble man telling me, everybody matters in this world. Everybody matters in this life. It does not matter what they look like. It does not matter what profession they have. It does not matter what race or background or creed they come from. It does not matter the level that society sees them in or does not. Nothing about those things matter. What matters is that we have to see people like the Creator see us as being important. And every single individual that comes into your life has a value. Has so at the moment because maybe something negative coming from them or out of them or through them. But at the end of the day, even if it's negative, there's a purpose in it. And the purpose is always for us to learn something, to grow and to develop and to become better individuals in every aspect of our lives. But what matters is the mindset that we have in terms of how we look at things, how we see things. Through the lenses that we see things, that is what makes the difference. And I want us to understand something. We have personalities and we have characters. And there's a clear difference between the two, even though they support each other, even though your personality is the foundation upon which your character is built. So let me give you a simple example. And this is point number one. Imagine an individual who has a personality, and that personality is one that is vociferous, very full of voice and speaking, and always want to talk and always want to be at the one who's at the head of the table that everybody would pay attention to. Speaking, yelling, coming out with information, coming out with advice, always dare to say something because they are very vocal in their expressions. And then one day something happens, and that to become that vocal individual. But something in their mind recognizes that if they continue with that kind of personality, even in that moment, despite the fact that that is the main personality that they have, there would be problems. Your character is the thing that decides whether you continue with that same personality or whether you contain yourself with a presence of thought that says, you know what? By mental assessment, it appears to me as though if I allow this personality to go out at this time, the end result would not be favorable for me and the people that are involved in this situation at this time. That is what character does. Character creates the balance between what is morally right, ethically right, and what is spiritual right. And it gives you the ability in the moment. In our profession, in our coaching profession, there's a module that we call Stay in the Eye of the Storm. And that is extremely important. And what we have to understand is that life may always seem to be like a storm coming at us at 90 miles per hour and more. We are coming out of an area where, in terms of what COVID has done to us, our personalities have been challenged, but our characters may have been strengthened as a result of the fact that we had to find a way to get a new norm. Find a way to innovate, find a way to adjust, find a way to make changes so that things would become more favorable for us in every aspect of our lives. How did we do it? We did it because we were placed under pressure, under duress. We were forced to make decisions that we did not want to in the past, but we had to because of the negative impacts and effects of COVID 19. So here's the thing. How about if we could find that same kind of mindset in our day to day lives without the pressure of the storm of life and of COVID 19 coming in? How about if we can normally find the eye of the storm, stay in the eye of the storm, and encourage and invite others to embrace the opportunity to be in the eye of that storm on a regular basis? Now, you might say, how do I get in the eye of the storm when the storm is moving and it's all around me? Well, it has to do with your mindset and your attitude. It has to do with your ability to assess things and to realize that the change that is necessary for you to get into the eye of the storm must come from you and it must come from within. When one person may see something as being invaluable, you have to find a way to see the value in that same something that someone else may see as invaluable. How do you do that? By taking time out to assess and to look at the details and to carefully investigate what is going on with that particular thing or person. Why are they the way they are? Why is this thing performing in the manner in which it is performing? Assessment, assessment, assessment. Assessment with a certain sense of reason and a commitment to understanding what is happening, and then to be able to embrace the fact that a necessary change is needful at this point in time so that I fully understand and comprehend what is happening with this thing or this person. And as a result, see the best in them so that I can gain from that and they can gain from me. So the important things are simply this: one, learn to understand that every single individual or experience that happens in your life has a role, is valuable, and is important. But your mindset must always be one that is open. Do not come with any preconceived thoughts or influences or beliefs, because every single moment of our lives is different from the moment that has gone on before. We have to understand that. That might not to grasp. You have to understand that life is a continuous cycle. Time is constant. It's always moving. It never stays at one place. And every single moment of our lives, new information floats into our minds and into our subconscious. And what we do with it, how we condense it, how we assess it, how we embrace it or not embrace it, matters to how we build our characters as individuals. So it's important to stay in the moment and to recognize that our mindset must say we need to use thought in the process. We need to use reasoning in the process. We need to use assessment in the process. Why? Because we need to understand why things are the way they are. And even if we don't ourselves, we must be humble and intelligent enough to ask a question. Now, here's the thing: you don't ask a plumber about something that is of an electrical base. You ask an electrician about things that are of an electrical base. And that sounds simple. But what I mean by that is simply this: if you're going to ask a question about something that you're not clear about, that you don't understand, that poses problems and challenges for you, you need to ask someone who has proven themselves to be an expert and knows what they are talking about. And so, what that means is that you have to go now and do some research and educate yourself. One of the key things to being successful and to understand why things are happening in our lives is the ability to educate ourselves. So if it means asking someone, finding out things from them, be humble and smart enough to take that step and said, you know what? I need help. I need to understand this thing. I need to understand this person. I need to understand why I am in this situation, what is happening with me. I do not have control. I want to know why. What it is about this thing that makes me seem like I can't get close enough. I can't communicate. I can't form a relationship with this thing or this person. Ask questions of the right people, of the professionals. And when you get that information, absorb it from the place that it comes objectively, understanding that with that information and with the right mindset and the right attitude, you can make a difference in the way you see things and assess things and remain in the eye of the storm. Another key factor, and this one is extremely important. There's a term that we use in our profession and in psychology that is called reflective personality. And let me give you a little, uh, I should say, an idea of what reflective personality is. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you met someone for the first time? You don't know them, you don't know anything about them, as they say, you don't know them from Adam. And something about that person that you see, some quality that you see about that person, something that comes out of them reminds you of you. And it's something that you didn't like about yourself. And so in that moment, you kind of want to stay away from that person. You don't want to get too close because that is the one thing or one of the things about you that you saw in them that you did not like or appreciate about yourself. You're struggling with it and you're trying to work it out. That is recalled, that is what we call reflective personality. And that happens sometimes out of the blues, a chance meeting on a bus, an airplane, in a taxi, or some social occasion, or sporting occasion, or anywhere. You just run into this person, you met them for the first time, and in speaking or in having that communication with them, you realize that there's something about them that you see in them that reminds you of you, but is not something that you appreciate enough. When that happens, it's like looking into a mirror. And so, in order to stay in the eye of the storm and to have the kind of mindset that would strengthen your character, what you need to do is not stay away from that person, but rather have a conversation about that thing that you may have recognized with that person, even though they may be a stranger and you've met them for the first time. You can never tell by opening up and bringing that character or that personality trait to the fore, to the front, where you can embrace it and discuss it as individuals, as human beings, could make the biggest difference in that person's life. You could probably make their day because it may be that they are struggling with it and saying to themselves, I hope this is something that folks don't see about me, that folks don't recognize about me. And that's how we are sometimes. We usually don't want people to see the things that we are struggling with. We want them to see the good side of us. We call that the swan mentality or the swan attitude. Have you ever seen a swan on a lake? When you look at the swan on the lake, all the water that the swan is on is calm and cool. And if there's a gentle breeze, there are just some ripples on the water. But everything seems to be okay with the swan. The swan is upright and in a good poised position and quite attractive. You might even take a picture with your phone or your camera, as the case might be. And most of the times we have phones on these other devices. And guess what? If you had the opportunity to look under the water, what you would see is that those 2 feet of that swan is paddling furiously and rhythmically to ensure that the swan remains poised and at ease on the top and goes in the direction it needs to go. So, what you see is the beautiful side, the good looking side, the attractive side. But what you don't see under the water is the struggle that the swan is going through. And sometimes our lives are like that. And what we have to know is that people are also going through stuff that we are going through. And sometimes we just need to let somebody know, hey, this is what I'm going through, sir. This is what I'm going through, ma'am. I'm struggling with X. I'm struggling with Y. Now, I'm not saying to go and tell everybody a business, but at the end of the day, if we are not willing to look at ourselves in the mirror and say to ourselves, I need to deal with my struggles. I need to deal with my shortcomings. I need to deal with the things that I know I should not be struggling with because they prevent me from living the quality of life that is necessary for me to feel fulfilled and to totally embrace my destiny, which is before me. So, what do you need to do? You need to have a mindset that says, you know what? Every single day of my life, I must see an opportunity to get better than what I was the day before. And I need to grow incrementally, at least 1% every single day of my life. Point number 3, always recognize that there's a greater power than you or anyone else that exists in this universe. And why that is important? It is important because you were placed here for a purpose. You and I, we are not here by guess. We are not here simply to take up space and to occupy time, but we were here to make a contribution to the well being and the balanced equilibrium of planet Earth. That's what we are here for. But many of us go to our graves and we do not find our purpose. We do not fulfill our destiny. And sometimes when we find ourselves in a position where life is unfulfilled, we blame so many people except the man in the mirror. If you want to stay in the eye of the storm, you need to find a connection with the supreme being that is responsible for you being here, because we are body, spirit, and soul. And it is important to create and build a balance of those three components put together. So here's the thing, when you wake up in the morning, who do you think is responsible for giving you life? For getting up in the morning and putting your feet on the ground and feeling the reality of your existence and knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'm alive. And there's a reason for me being here. And this is just another opportunity for me to fulfill my purpose and to help reach my destiny. How can I do it? How can I do it, Lord? How can I do it, God? How can I do it, Father? How can I do it, oh great one? How can I do it, Creator? I don't know what you want to call him. I'm not here to preach religion. I'm here to speak the truth. And at the end of the day, if we can find ourselves in that relationship with that being that is responsible for everything that exists in the world today, including some of the things that we may not appreciate, but they are there for a reason, they're there for a purpose. We must understand that we have a role and a destiny to fulfill that does not belong to anyone else but us. That's why we are here. So we cannot afford to leave it up to someone else to take our role and to take our responsibility upon their shoulders. That belongs to us. You are the most unique being of you that exists in the world. Appreciate that and appreciate the individual that created you that way, with purpose, with intent. Find out by a connection, a relationship with that individual. Why am I here? What am I here for? What are the things that I'm supposed to do to make that contribution to the development and the growth of my life, and as an extension of the people that are in my life on a day-to-day basis? So I hope that this time that I shared with you and the tips that I shared with you to keep in the eye of the storm have been very enlightening, motivational, but most of all, inspirational, so that you can see transformation in your life, so that you can grow and develop and go to a better place and embrace the opportunity that is before you to live a life that can take you from zero to hero. Everything is available to us. All the resources that unlazy ourselves. We need to unhook ourselves from the things that keep us rooted and grounded, not only in our present position, but in the past and for some in the future. What matters, and I've said this before, the most important thing you have, the most precious moment you have, is the one that you are in right now. Start right where you are to make the difference in your life. Don't wait till you think conditions are going to get better or the resources that you're not seeing physically would become a reality. Start with what you have in the moment that you are right now. Just make one step. Just make that step of faith. And if you're so brave, make a leap of faith. But good God, do something. Just don't sit on your butt and wait for something to happen or someone to come along and say, here it is. That may never happen. And so your legacy must be something that people can look back and say, you know what? He give it, she give it, they're all. And we were grateful for the time that they were here because they made a difference in our lives. When people miss you, let them miss you for the good things, not the bad things. We are not perfect, but we can get better. And we can do so by coming to a place where we can understand how we can stay in the eye of the storm with the right mindset and a development of the characteristics that it takes to be an individual that produces in the balance and the equilibrium of this planet that is called planet Earth. It is a gift that was given to us by the Creator for a purpose. Let's not waste time living to please the masses. Let's not waste time living because we have been given the opportunity to get up just for another day. Let's live and let's strive while we live. Because at the end of the day, when you've given it your all, and even if the result does not come as you expect, the greatest satisfaction is knowing that you have given it your best shot. You have given it your all. That is the reward. That is what makes the difference. And that is what gives you the character to have the personality that says, even though the storm is swirling all around me and in my life, I will remain in the eye of the storm because I must see the good even in the midst of the storm. And I will be able to be the kind of individual that God has created me to be. This is Andy of Andy's Personal Development. And I thank you for the opportunity to have said the things that I have said. I hope that they bring value to your life and make a difference. As we continue, remember the watchwords: health, happiness, and prosperity. May God bless you all. May you continue to seek good and to see good in everything and everyone and remain faithfully and safely and positively in the eye of the storm. God bless. Shalom. Namaste. Until next time, stay in love. Bye for now.